application process, and the timeline. And most importantly, you want to leave a lot of time for your questions. There we go. The St. Paul Port Authority received funding from the state of Minnesota during the last legislative session for the Capital Area Economic Development Grant Program. We refer to it as the CORE Grant Program, which stands for Capital Outreach, Revitalization, and Expansion. The purpose of this grant funding is to revitalize the capital area of St. Paul in alignment with the St. Paul Port Authority's mission, which is to grow quality jobs, expand local tax base or sales growth, and strengthen long-term economic vitality in the area. So who is eligible? New and existing or relocating for-profit businesses located within the defined capital area. We'll get to a map on the next slide so you can decide, you can understand if you're within that capital area. The funds can be used for equipment purchases, facade improvements, other capital improvements. So if you think about your business, could your entrance use an improvement, either curb appeal or just accessibility? Do you need a new roof, an HVAC system, an energy efficient windows? Are you missing a critical piece of equipment like a commercial oven that would help your business grow? These are all eligible expenses for the grant program. The award sizes will be between $50,000 and up to $150,000. So there's $870,000. And so that means about 6 to 17 awards will be granted. So here is that map. And so I would pay attention to this dotted line. So you can see that there's, it's not the entire Fitzgerald Park. It does have some carve outs. I know this map might be hard to see. And so I do encourage you to go to our website, sppa.com/core grant, or also the CAP board also has maps, and you can see if you qualify. Otherwise, you can always reach out to us as well, and we'll help you understand the boundaries. Just to read off the street names here, this area includes Marion Street on the left-hand side, Pennsylvania on the top, and then Jackson on the right-hand side of the screen. And then it carves out around the Minnesota Historical Society area. Just to be clear and to go back to that purpose of what the grant is about, we want to clarify what businesses are not eligible. So nonprofits, government entities, businesses operating out of a residential property. Just going to move my screen. There we go. Schools, faith-based organizations, neighborhood community groups, mobile businesses, businesses located outside of that mapped area, and businesses that are suspended or barred on the state list. Just a moment. Projects that are not eligible, so acquisition of a business, projects that have already started, projects that cost less than the award amount, travel or administrative costs associated with the project, projects that hire suspended or debarred vendors or contractors, and projects occurring outside of the defined capital area. Because these grant funds are state dollars, there are reporting and compliance requirements tied to the program. All requirements must be met in order to be considered to receive grant funding. So we wanted to just call those out and walk through the expectations clearly so applicants know what to expect before they can comply. So the core grant dollars can be used, but you must comply with prevailing wage rules. Prevailing wage, there is a database, a state database that is also federal and state database that tells you what contractors must be paid. And your contractor that's doing the improvement would be aware of this, and they have to report what wages they paid to their workers, and that wage must be within that prevailing wage requirement. They must comply with accessibility rules. The businesses located in the capital area, they have zoning requirements that are overseen by the Capital Area Architectural Board. So you work with that group, the CAP board, to make sure that you're meeting zoning requirements. You have no local, state, or federal tax liens. You must meet the insurance requirements, and you must be able to spend all award grant dollars. And so those are just some of the requirements and that you should be aware of. All right. So just to go through, how will grants be selected? How do you know your project makes it in? So applicants will be reviewed and scored by St. Paul Port Authority's Internal Credit Committee. It will be a competitive based scoring, and the applications that score the highest will show that they're making employment impact, tax base expansion, or sales growth impact, and adding to the economic and community vitality. So it's really important that when you complete the application, you carefully include enough detail so that the review committee can make informed decisions about your project. This just gives a breakdown of the weighting and how the applications will be scored. So it gives a little bit more detail here. I won't read all of this. We will be able to send this presentation out to you so you can have it as a reference tool when you're completing the application. So again, we're looking at employment, property tax or sales tax value, how your project aligns with the grant purpose, the economic vitality you're adding, the community and capital area benefit, and then making sure we're working with underrepresented communities as well. So what's the next steps? How do I get my name in for this grant opportunity? So applications, it is open now. So the application period will be open from now until the end of March. And we're going to have 2 rounds. That means if you need a little time to get all your information and your project together, you're not going to miss out. You can apply by March 31st. Those applications will then be reviewed and awarded in May. If you don't make it in the first round, or if you applied and you weren't selected, you can apply for round 2. And so round 2 will open in June through August, and we'll award those grants in October. Step 2, the St. Paul Port Authority and the grant recipient will sign a grant contract. So when you are awarded this grant, there is a grant agreement that we will enter into. We also want to sit down and have orientation meetings with all the grant applicants to make sure that they understand how do you get the funds, what reporting requirements are there, just to make sure that you have the support that you need to be able to access all the funding. And then this grant will be reimbursement based. It will be tied to, you'll submit a report on the progress as well as receipt that the contractor's been paid, and then we will reimburse you for that. If that is a cash flow constraint, if you're worried about that, I still encourage you to apply or reach out to MRI. So what do you need before you fill out the application? One thing to note, I think it's on the next slide, but I'll give you a little preview, that you can't save the application, so you should have everything ready to go. Sit down, complete the application, and submit it. At any time, you can always send things over email if you didn't have something, but the best rule of thumb is to get all the things that you need before you start. So you will need a scope of work for the project. including 3 bids and the timeline. Your project budget, so just how much is the project going to cost? What grant, how much is the grant going to support? There's not a requirement to have a match, but in some cases you might have a really big project that maybe it's $200,000. So you're going to show that you have the $50,000 to support the total project. We'll ask for business financial information, the number of jobs that you currently have. We'll also ask if the new improvements will create jobs, maintain jobs, or reduce jobs. Hopefully not that. And then the property tax statement if applicable. Now, if you lease, you can still apply. So you would need consent by the property owner that you need consent to make the capital improvement. So that is not a limitation. If you lease, please reach out and we will help you there. And then we'll also ask for current sales numbers just to measure if this grant improvement increases sales or property value. And then describe how your project aligns with the grant purpose and impacts the community. So some tips, as I mentioned, gather all the required information before you apply. Emma and I are here to answer questions. Some fields are required. So if you're getting an error message, just know that there's probably a field that's required that needs to be complete. Some of the fields will ask you to upload documents. And if it's something that you're working on, so you'll need to upload a document, just so you know that. And then the application is safe and secure. And then we are here for assistance as needed. And then I think it was on a slide a couple slides ago, but I wanted to just make sure that it's called out that the funding needs to be spent by April 30th, 2027. So it is important that you have the project, you get the grant funds, you start the project, and the project gets complete by April 30th, 2027. Oh, there it is. No, I guess it isn't there. Okay, so how do you apply? As I mentioned, we have 2 rounds. So the round 1 is open now and will be awarded in May. Round 2 will open in June and will be awarded in October. And if you're not selected in round 1 or you need more time to get your documents together, apply to round 2. So you can visit our website and feel free to ask questions. And at this time, that went really quick. So we have plenty of time to ask questions. And at this time,